Welcome back. I'm Chelsea Myers. After building and exiting a successful healthcare company, I was inspired to create a leadership development and talent acquisition company, Dental Life Coach, that I'm proud to represent. I'm also passionate about hosting this show, the Brain Crops Podcast. My mission is to lift and bless 100 million people to access their truth. I'm also the creator of Quantum Upgrade Personal Transformation, a program that supports people in overcoming their habit with pornography. And through that project, we're involved in combating human trafficking and supporting rescued trafficked children. And it's along the lines of that charitable aspect of Quantum Upgrade Personal Transformation, where we are supporting rescued trafficked children, that I wanted to have this conversation today. I actually just got done recording a podcast with a friend of mine, Randy Mullen, who runs Go Big to Give Big, which is a very beautiful company that supports integrating a charitable aspect into existing companies and corporations. And one of the things that we discussed there that's been on my mind a lot is the incredible ripple effect that service can have. It creates this energetic chain reaction of positivity, because when we serve other people, we're not just impacting the individual, but we're impacting everybody that is affected by that individual. And so it's just like at our homes. If I'm in a really bad space and I'm stressed out and I'm grumpy or I'm prickly to be around, that doesn't just impact the people in my home, my husband and my kids. It impacts whoever they interact with. So if I'm prickly to my husband and then he hops on a call with one of his friends or family members, now he's kind of prickly with them, or maybe like a little less clear because he's worried about what's going on here, the energy exchange that we just had. And was it his fault? Probably not. Was it his fault and what he can do to fix it? All of the things, right? And so on a bigger scale, when we serve a community, that community, having received the benefit of our service, is now in a different place. They're almost on a different timeline, where now for them what exists is a world where that act of service was real. People do nice things for other people, and they can too. And so it's just this beautiful exchange that takes place. And then hopefully they pay it forward. And then those people that are impacted pay it forward. And it doesn't just go from, like I said, person to person, but it goes from person. It's like one person impacts a reach, and that reach impacts a reach. It's exponential every single time. It is absolutely beautiful. And here's one of the coolest things that I've noticed as I've engaged in this work is, we all have 24 hours in a day, which is actually a lot, right? But we have the same 24 hours that we're working with. And how we allocate our energy becomes incredibly important. And some of us become very, very protective. I don't have the time, or I don't have the resources, or I don't have the ability to share or contribute or serve anybody, much less even take really good care of myself. And that's kind of the thought loop that we get stuck into, which keeps us doing the same thing day after day, getting the same results day after day. But what I have found to be true in my life, and I've seen it in the lives of others, is that when we decide to organize a way, and Randy gives some really good ideas about this. You can either donate your time, you can donate your money, or you can donate your resources. And so there's lots of different ways to make an impact. But when we schedule time and commit to an opportunity to making an impact in whatever way we're able to make it, that flow of energy circulates between us and the world. The exchange not only uplifts the people that we're serving, but it replenishes our own energy. It is not uncommon for me to, in following my plan, get involved in something that I think I have limited time or energy for, only to find that while I'm there, I'm able to do so much more in a shorter period of time than I would have expected. And I'm replenished with this incredible infectious energy that just fills the cells of my body. It's really a beautiful thing. There is so much power in taking the focus off of me and my goals and the impact that I'm trying to make in the space that I generally operate in, and going outside of that to use my time or use my resources or use my abilities, my strengths, my talents to support somebody else or another community in whatever it is that is most important for them. Sometimes that's going to be something of a really logistical nature. Sometimes that's going to be something that impacts their health. Sometimes that is something that's going to impact their safety. With the program that we have, Quantum Upgrade Personal Transformation, a portion of those profits is going to support rescued, trafficked children, people who need us the most, people who have been through the most horrific scenarios that most of us can't even and don't probably want to imagine. But these are living, breathing human beings that require it. Who's going to stand up for them? I just want to pause right there. If we don't step in, and I say we collectively, the people who are aware of this, that there are these children who have been rescued, who have been trafficked, and have the ability to make an impact in their life. But if we don't reach out a hand and offer to support, who's going to do that for them? And then what does their life look like? But on the flip side, I love the flip side coin. So on the flip side, what if we do? How good can it get? How amazing can their life be? How might they use their experience and what they've been through to make the incredible impact that they were put here on this earth to make? That's what really excites me. That's what fuels my fire. And that is why I keep on doing the things that I'm doing. I have noticed that when we step out of ourselves, out of our own challenges, and focus on helping others, that our own perspective expands. That is, I read once actually in I want to say it was a talk I was reading, or maybe it was a paper somebody wrote. But what he said was that, I remember what it was now. He said that sometimes the answer that we need is piggybacked on our desire and willingness to serve someone else. That the answer that we need is piggybacked on our desire and willingness to serve someone else. And so what does that mean? That means I have something that I'm trying to figure out. I would really like the answer to this problem now. And in an effort to get that answer that doesn't seem to be just coming to me through thin air, I set out to serve someone else. I set out to do something I do know how to do, whether that's a talent that I have or an ability that I have or a resource that I have. I set out to use those things to support a need that I can see needs to be filled. And I'll tell you what, if that answer just doesn't come right out of thin air in the act or in the moment or on the drive home from serving somebody else, it is just incredible. And as if these aren't reasons enough, there are actually physical, chemical responses that take place in our bodies that alleviate stress, allowing us to increase the amount of gratitude, increase the amount of purpose, increase the amount of clarity that we're able to experience because of that choice to prioritize, to have a willingness and a follow through on supporting somebody else in an area of their life. And this doesn't have to be a really big thing. The other day, it was a couple of months ago now, maybe a month ago, my husband and I, we go on a date every weekend. And we decided that what we were going to do was we were going to give back. And so we went to the store. Our kids have always loved playing with Hot Wheels. And so we went to the store and we bought a bunch of Hot Wheels. And then we drove to some parts of town that I had never been to, parts of town that we wouldn't typically dwell in. And quite honestly, we looked like we didn't belong there. And we pulled down a street and I knew it was the right street. I could feel it. The houses were falling apart. There were people outside conducting what looked like probably illegal business. And they were looking at us like, if you're not here for something, you're on the wrong street and you need to get out. Otherwise, what do you want? And we spotted two little boys on bikes. And so I told my husband, I said, let's pull up over there. And we pulled up next to them and the dad was actually outside on the porch. And I wanted to enlist the dad in this opportunity to serve. And so what I did was I walked up to the dad and I said, hey, I said, this neighborhood just means so much to me. And I was wondering, could I give your children some gifts? And he got this big, huge smile and he was like, yeah, you can give them gifts. I said, are there two of them? And he goes, actually, there's three. He had a third one down by his leg. So I pulled out 3 Hot Wheels and I handed them to the dad, and you should have seen his face. It was just so beautiful. He just had this big, huge smile and he was looking down at the Hot Wheels and he was looking at each of his kids, like trying to determine which kid might enjoy which car the most. And he handed them out to the boys. And then he told the boys, he said, say thank you to the lady. She just gave you a gift. And they all looked at me and they said, thank you. And they were super gracious. And I walked back into the car and my heart was just filled with joy. And I told my husband what had happened. And he asked me, he was like, wow, what made you think to say it that way, that this neighborhood means so much to you? And I shared with him because it does. In this moment, this neighborhood is giving us the opportunity to share with people who may not have very many happy surprises come their way. We are fortunate to not need for anything or want for much. And I am so excited for the opportunity to be a part of sprinkling a little magic in these kids' lives where they can know that good things do happen and random surprises do pop up. So we repeated this process. Each one was just so beautiful. And there is just so much joy. It's not so much the amount that we give, but it's the intention behind what we were giving. And so that day, the intention was to give joy and love and surprises and magic to children who may not and probably don't have access to a lot of examples of magic and good things coming their way and surprise delights. And it wasn't necessarily about solving their deeper, more external problems. These were people living in poverty. These were people who, some of the kids weren't even fully clothed, probably out of necessity, not rather than choice because of a chilly day. What we were going after that day was an emotional and an energetic impact. And the beauty of that connection, when we as humans share empathy and compassion, and we use our ability to serve to strengthen somebody else's emotional and spiritual foundation, we are making the most incredible impact on the world, and one that can't be replaced by anything else. I appreciate you joining me for today's episode. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show to help you create the life you truly desire.